If the IRS charged you a penalty between January 2020 and July 2023, a late payment penalty, a late filing penalty, or an estimated tax penalty, there is a court ruling that says that money may never have been legally owed. The IRS collected it anyway, and now there is one form, one deadline, and one shot to get it back. The deadline is July 10th, 2026. The IRS is not going to send you a letter about this. They are not going to remind you. And if you miss that date, your right to claim this refund is gone permanently. The Taxpayer Advocate Service, an independent office inside the IRS, has already flagged this publicly. They said, and I'm going to quote this directly, that taxpayers without representation are at risk of losing benefits they are legally entitled to. That is exactly why we are talking about this today. Millions of Americans may qualify. Retirees, Social Security recipients, anyone who dealt with IRS penalties during the COVID years. And most of them have no idea this window is even open. If you are on Social Security, on Medicare, or living on a fixed income, and you had any interaction with the IRS between 2020 and 2023, this channel exists so you find out about things like this before the deadline passes. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell right now, because the people who miss this are not the people who didn't care. They are the people who simply never heard about it in time. Here is what happened. When the federal government declares a disaster, there is a tax law that automatically postpones filing and payment deadlines. Not just for hurricanes or floods, for any federally declared disaster. COVID-19 was declared a federal disaster in January 2020. That declaration stayed in effect all the way until May 2023. That is over 3 years. Under the law, your tax deadlines were automatically postponed for the entire length of that disaster, plus an additional 60 days on top of that, which puts the effective end of that penalty window at July 10th, 2023. Under the standard 3-year deadline to claim a refund, that makes July 10th, 2026 the hard cutoff to file your claim. Now, here is where the IRS made its mistake. A federal court looked at this law and reached a clear conclusion. If deadlines were legally postponed for that entire COVID window, then any penalties or interest the IRS charged on filings or payments that fell inside that window, those penalties may never have been legally owed in the first place. The IRS collected them anyway. For 3.5 years, the IRS was potentially charging penalties it had no legal right to charge. The IRS disagrees with the court's conclusion and is currently appealing the ruling. They have not started issuing refunds automatically, which means if you qualify, you have to act, you have to file, and you have to do it before July 10th, 2026. This applies to anyone who had a federal tax obligation due between January 20th, 2020 and July 10th, 2023, and was charged a penalty or interest during that period. That includes late filing penalties, late payment penalties, and the one that hits retirees the hardest, estimated tax underpayment penalties. Here is why that last one matters so much for people on fixed incomes. When you are retired, your income is not always predictable. One year you take a larger IRA withdrawal. One year you do a Roth conversion. One year you have a capital gain you were not expecting. And when that happens, it is very easy to underpay your estimated taxes for that quarter and get hit with a penalty. If that happened to you in 2020, 2021, 2022, or in the first half of 2023, you may have paid a penalty the IRS was not legally entitled to collect. The same applies if you filed late during that window. The same applies if you paid late. If the IRS assessed you interest on a late payment during those years, that interest may also be refundable. Social Security recipients who owe federal income tax on their benefits are included in this. If you had a tax obligation that fell inside that COVID window, and you were charged for it, you are in the group this applies to. One note on gray areas. If you were already behind on taxes before January 2020, the rules get more complicated. This ruling does not erase old debts that existed before the disaster declaration. But if your penalty originated inside that COVID window, you have a legitimate claim worth filing. Before I walk you through the filing steps, you need to know about the office that flagged all of this. Inside the IRS, there is an independent office called the Taxpayer Advocate Service. It does not work for the IRS. It works for you. Its job is to step in when the normal IRS system is not working and to flag when the IRS is getting something wrong, exactly like it did here. This service is free. There are no income limits. You do not need to hire anyone to access it. If you are dealing with an IRS problem that has gone unresolved for more than 30 days, or if an IRS issue is causing you real financial harm, you can contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service directly. The number is 1-877-777-4778. You can also reach them through your congressional representative's office. Call your congressperson, explain that the IRS has not resolved your issue, and ask them to connect you to the Taxpayer Advocate Service on your behalf. This office exists specifically for people who are being left behind by a system that is too complicated and too understaffed to help them on its own. Use it. Before you file anything, you need to confirm that the IRS actually charged you eligible penalties during that COVID window. Here is exactly how to do that. Step 1. Go to irs.gov and log into your IRS online account. If you do not have one, you can create one at irs.gov. You will need to verify your identity, so have your social security number and a photo ID ready. Step 2. Pull your tax transcripts. Inside your online account, look for the section called Tax Records, then select Account Transcript. Pull the transcript for each year you think might apply: 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Step 3. Look for these specific transaction codes on your transcripts. TC166. That is a failure to file penalty, a late filing charge. TC276. That is a failure to pay penalty, a late payment charge. TC196. That is interest assessed on a late payment. TC176. That is an estimated tax underpayment penalty. If you see any of those codes on a transcript from inside the COVID window, you have been charged a penalty that may qualify for this refund. Write down the tax year, the penalty type, and the dollar amount. You will need that information when you file. The form you need is Form 843. It is called a Claim for Refund and Request for Abatement. You can download it for free at irs.gov. Search Form 843 in the search bar and it will come up directly. Here are the 4 steps. Step 1. Download Form 843 from irs.gov. Fill it out for the first tax year you qualify in. If you paid a penalty, you are claiming a refund. If the penalty was assessed but you have not yet paid it, you are requesting an abatement. The form is the same either way. Step 2. Write this exact phrase across the top of the form before you submit it. Protective refund claim pursuant to Kwong case. That language is what officially designates this as a protective claim, meaning you are preserving your right to the refund while the court appeal is still playing out. Do not skip this step. Without that language, it may not be categorized correctly. Step 3. Mail the form by certified mail with return receipt requested. Form 843 cannot be filed electronically. It must go on paper by mail. The return receipt gives you proof that you filed before the July 10th deadline. If a form gets lost inside the IRS mail system, that receipt is your protection. Step 4. File a separate Form 843 for each tax year you qualify in. A 2020 claim and a 2021 claim are 2 separate forms. Do not combine them onto one filing. Now, here is something important to understand. When you file this, you will receive a denial letter from the IRS. Do not panic when that happens. The IRS is currently appealing the court ruling, and they are not approving these claims right now. The denial letter is standard procedure. It does not mean your claim was wrong. It does not mean you did anything incorrectly. What it means is that the legal fight is still ongoing, and filing before July 10th locks in your right to benefit from whatever the final outcome is. You do not have to win the argument today. You just have to get your claim on the record before the door closes. Let me run through this one more time so you have everything you need. The IRS may have illegally collected penalties during the COVID disaster window, January 2020 through July 2023. A federal court said those penalties may never have been owed. The IRS is appealing, but the window to file your protective claim is open right now, and it closes July 10th, 2026. You qualify if you were charged a late filing penalty, a late payment penalty, estimated tax underpayment penalties, or interest on any of those, and the charge fell inside that COVID window. Retirees with lumpy income and Social Security recipients who owe federal tax are among the most commonly affected groups. To check, log into your IRS online account at irs.gov and pull your account transcripts. Look for transaction codes TC166, TC176, TC196, and TC276. To file, download Form 843 from irs.gov. Write, Protective Refund Claim Pursuant to Kwong Case across the top. Mail it certified with return receipt. File one form per tax year. Do it before July 10th, 2026. When the denial letter arrives, do not stop. It is expected. Your claim is still on the record. And if you need help navigating this, contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service at 1-877-777-4778. Free. No income limits. They are there specifically for situations like this one. The people who get this money back are not the ones with the best tax attorneys. They are the ones who found out in time and took one simple step before the deadline. July 10th, 2026. Form 843, Certified Mail. That is it. If you are not subscribed, do it now. And share this video with someone you know who dealt with the IRS during COVID. They may have money sitting on the table and no idea the clock is already running.